Alright guys, Murphs here, and today I want to take you through what I call a thought exercise. So, a thought exercise to me is when I sit down and I either like wargame or tabletop plan a concept or a purpose for a thing. I used to do this a lot as a kid, and I've most definitely carried it into adulthood. There's a ton of different concepts and stuff like that I have developed through these thought exercises. I grab a hold of a nugget of information or a concept, and I decide to apply my own thought processes, my own preconceived notions or experience, and then I run that against other people's experiences, other people's opinions, and I kind of formulate more or less what becomes a concept for me, a cornerstone concept for firearms purchasing or recommendations or how I choose to see different systems running, be it CCW or fighting rifle concepts, techniques, whatever application of cover and stuff like that, whatever it may be. I've covered a wide variety of things. Some examples: when I was a kid, I used to spend a lot of time planning out, if I had to arm a modern military, what weapons would I choose? And I would spend a whole bunch of time going through and researching all these different things and comparing lots of different weapons and stuff like that, and picking out what I found to be important for a combat-oriented weapon for a military. Or I would even take it a step further and I would designate a year, like, oh, it's 1945, it's post-World War II, and I need to, whatever country wants to completely update all their weapon systems. I would research everything that was available in 1945 and come up with what I would arm a military with. Now, one day when I was about 15, I sat down and started a thought exercise on if I could only have one gun. So I had to put a couple things into context for this, and I kind of had to set the stage. So what I said in my mind was that I just turned 18, that I had just moved out of the house, and I had some minor job, maybe working at a 7-Eleven or something like that. And I wanted to have a firearm that I could defend myself with, that I could hunt with, and that I could also recreationally shoot with. So I sat down, I did a bunch of research. Now, based off of the constraints that I'd more or less set myself, the scenario, I guess you could say, being 18, I couldn't legally buy handguns, so that knocked those out right off the bat. And then I lived in Ohio, so hunting with rifles, especially when it comes to deer or anything like that, it's not legal in Ohio. So that's out the door right off the bat. And then also, being that I was working at, in my mind, a 7-Eleven and just moved out on my own, I probably wasn't going to have a lot of money. So with these constraints, with this scene set for myself now, I went through and pored over so many different catalogs trying to decide what to go with. Now, early on, I decided that shotguns were obviously going to be the choice. When it came to hunting small game as well as large game, I could cover the full gambit with shotguns. Based off of that decision, that made me focus on 12 gauge, because there is not a single load, caliber, gauge, cartridge in the world that has more options than 12 gauge. So, if I want maximum flexibility, which I'm going to need out of a single weapon system, I better have it in 12 gauge. So now we know that I'm looking for a 12 gauge shotgun. That leaves cost. And what I wound up deciding on, what 15-year-old me decided on, was a Rossi single shot shotgun. With that setup, I would be able to hunt literally anything in North America, because if you put a slug in it and it's within 50 yards, you can still take it with a single shot shotgun, as well as target shoot and, in a pinch, use it for home defense. Now, I have a major dislike for Taurus and Rossi products. I consider them to be very much so bottom of the barrel, and I would prefer to spend a little bit of extra money and get something of a little higher quality. However, I will caveat that with single shot shotguns are extremely hard to go wrong. You really can't mess that up. You have the minimum number of moving parts. You have a button that releases a hinge, a firing pin, and an extractor/ejector. That's all that there is to go wrong. And it's not hard to make those things more or less bulletproof, which makes the single shot shotgun in that respect a very sound choice. Now, obviously, a single shotgun shell a fight stopper does not make. You're hoping that it's just one guy that you have to stop. However, it's better than nothing. It's better than throwing rocks. Now, even with that concern, honestly, I could have easily adjusted the same line of thought to a Pardner single shot 12 gauge, and it would have been the same kind of deal. And I actually trust Pardner shotguns a lot more than I do Rossi's. The reality still stands that a single shot shotgun was the single best option that I could have selected at that time. However, I did have one thing that was always weighing in the back of my mind, and that was capacity. You know, yeah, a single shot shotgun can do it, but having more rounds on board just does everything a little bit better. Faster follow-up shots, you know, more ammunition available to take additional game in addition to the single, you know, animal that was in front of you, whatever it may be. You know, what if 2 rabbits scare up? You're only going to get one with a single shot shotgun. So something that 15-year-old me really didn't take into account was the used market. Now, that argument kind of cuts both ways, honestly, because a single shot Rossi or even Pardner shotgun can be got on the aftermarket or the used market for under $100. So that's really hard to beat right off the bat. However, a used pump action shotgun could be driven down into the cost range of a new Rossi single shot shotgun or Pardner shotgun. So that's something I didn't take into account. That was a flaw in my thought process at the time. However, I did eventually move out of the house. I even eventually got married, and I was living down in Florida. And I had handguns and rifles, but I had no shotgun at the time. And once I realized that I had this huge gap in my arsenal, I immediately set out to fix that. And I went straight to the closest pawn shop because I decided I wanted to save a little bit of money and buy used. And what do you think it is that I came home with? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it was not a Rossi single shot. It wasn't even a Pardner single shot. What I wound up coming home with to defend my fledgling family was this Mossberg Model 500 in 12 gauge. I picked this up for more money than a Rossi single shot. However, I had the money at the time. I was making good money, still am, but especially at that time I was making good money. And I saw this and I knew that this was going to be a simple, reliable option to be able to apply to everything I wanted it to. I could target shoot with this gun, I could hunt with this gun, and I could most definitely defend my family, and I had more rounds immediately available from a fairly cost-effective weapon system. And this shotgun has been a home defender for me for years. It was a truck gun for a while. That's where these scuffs on the stock came from. And I most definitely hunted with it, a wide variety of game. The last time I hunted turkey, it was with this shotgun. So guys, I just wanted to kind of take you through a description and understanding what a thought exercise was, because I actually think that this is a trend that I want to keep going on this channel, the thought exercise concept, so I can take you through my thought process, what drives me to make the decisions that I do, and kind of how they more or less work themselves out, how they evolve and develop over the years. So this is my 15-year look back on if I could only own one gun. And I've got to tell you, it's not changed that much. All right, guys, have a good day.